This is We the Sales Engineers Podcast, show 280.
Welcome to We the SEs Podcast, the show for sales engineers by sales engineers with your host, Ramsey Majaba.
What's up, SE Nation? Welcome back to another episode. I have a great guest by the name of Cathryn Prudence, and I enjoyed my conversation with her for many reasons. Not only because she's a fellow immigrant to Canada and Canadian, not only is she from a city that not many people talk about, which is Calgary, Canada, but also mainly because she's an SE leader and she has a unique style of hiring in terms of who to look for. Most job descriptions require between 15 and 30 years of pre-sales experience and knowledge and technology that hasn't for 50 years that hasn't been available for 3. So she goes around a little bit differently due to some limitations she has at her work. And I just enjoyed talking to her about that and about her journey, about being a mother and going on maternity leave in Canada, and how all that affected, if at all, her career. So stick around. I hope you enjoy it. If you do enjoy it, please make sure to leave a rating, review somewhere. Google Play, Apple Play, anywhere Play. Just leave a review somewhere. And let's jump into the show. All right, we've been talking for 10 minutes, but let's pretend we haven't. How are you doing,
Okay.
Miss Prudence?
I'm doing well, thank you, Ramsey. How are you?
I'm good. Anybody call you Miss Prudence?
No.
No. Cathryn?
Yes,
Cathryn is better?
Cathryn. Yeah, okay. That's my married name, so I'm still kind of getting used to it as well.
Congratulations.
I've been married 5 years, but I'm still.
It's been 5 years, still getting used to it. You sound like my wife. Thank you for that. All right. Well, welcome to the show. We're happy to have you, a fellow Canadian. So the way I like to start every podcast is maybe have you introduce yourself and where you are, where you're from, and what you're doing.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I am Cathryn Prudence. I live in Calgary in Canada. And originally, as we were discussing, I am from the UK, but I've been in Canada for 18 years. And I have been working for the same company for coming on 11 years. So I work for Absorb LMS, so we're a learning management software. So basically, we're the platform that allows companies to deliver training to their internal employees, external clients, or partners. It's a really awesome software. That's why I've been working with them for 11 years. I've done a variety of roles at Absorb. I started off in technical support, moved on to implementation, so onboarding our clients. Then I did a spin as a customer success manager, working with our enterprise clients. And then we decided to create sales engineers, a team specifically designed to help our account executive close more business. And I became a team lead of that 4 years ago. And we've grown the team from 3 to 19 solutions engineers. We call them solutions engineers. And I have a varied career at Absorb, and that's what I've been up to. Right. Other than that, I am a mother of 2. I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. So I did have some maternity leave because we're allowed to do that in Canada. So I did take 2 years out to enjoy my time with the babies. And I don't have that many hobbies. I am learning the piano and starting to run again.
Okay.
So I know, personal. That's
who I am. Chasing you. Is that why you're running?
My children are chasing me, yes.
So you're running away from your children. All right.
I do, yes. I have to run away from them.
All right. So many questions that have nothing to do with sales engineering.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Number one, you moved from the UK and you ended up in Calgary. Why Calgary?
So we had some extended family who lived here, and we just came to visit, and we thought, oh, it's beautiful. It's near the mountains. It was a city, but it kind of had that small town feel. I liked the look of the University of Calgary. So we actually had the option of moving to Edmonton or Calgary, and I did choose Calgary. There's a little bit of a rivalry between those two cities. But yeah, that's kind of why we moved here. I moved with my family.
Did you visit Calgary in the winter?
No.
And then
I visited in summer.
You got conned into going into Calgary.
I did a little bit, but
I would go to Calgary. I don't know. I don't know if there's a big difference in temperature between Ottawa and Calgary, but I think I would like Calgary for some reason.
You know, we have Chinook winds, which kind of warms our winters up a little bit. So we're not in deep freezing weather the whole time.
Okay.
And blue skies. That's what got me, because I'm from the UK. It rains a lot.
Yeah.
in Calgary. Very little rain, a lot of blue skies. We're the sunniest
Really?
city in Calgary. It's Canada, sorry.
Yeah. All right. You're selling me on this. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
okay.
I'll
Love
start looking at open roles there.
it.
Okay. I'm gonna skip around a little bit based on what you just told me. You're a mother of two. You took 2-year parental leave, one for each child, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
This is the question that I kind of curious to all women. Did that affect your career?
It actually didn't affect my career. It could have been luck. I don't know. It just like where our company was at that time, it was growing a lot. And by the time I kind of came back from my maternity leave, there was a vacancy in to become a manager, and I filled that. Um, so yeah, I just kept rolling. And
Nice.
every time I came back, there were more changes, and I just kind of rolled with those changes, and it didn't really affect me, really. Yeah.
Did you have a hard time going back to work? I know my wife didn't want to go back to work.
You know, the week before I was upset and I was sad and I was crying, but once I was kind of back talking to, adults and doing the things I love doing, um, being my own person again, I really love it and I still love it. I've been back a year and a half now. And yeah, I just don't think I could be a stay-at-home mum. I love them, but I do need my own thing, and that is work. Yeah.
My wife feels she's a stay-at-home mom who does a lot of volunteer work at the school where the kids
And
are.
that's what I would have to do. Yes.
Yeah, and that's how she's I guess surviving, not having her own thing, but she's
Yeah.
turning that into her own thing. Well, and I'm glad to hear it didn't affect your career, because I know when she was on maternity leave, someone on her team got promoted to manager, and we'll never know if it's because she was on maternity leave because she was the most senior person, or because they earned it. So that kind of sucks for her.
Yeah. And that it similarly happened to me for my first maternity leave. They flew in someone from Ireland to become a manager. So I was the team lead at that stage. And they came in as a manager. So that year in between having babies, he was my manager, but we got on so well.
Okay.
And by the time I came back from my second maternity leave, he was like, you know what? I'm going to become an account executive. And so here's your team back. And I was like, awesome. So that worked out really well for me and him.
Good. I'm glad. All right. And you were technical support, and then you went into customer success. I'm presuming, based on the conversations, there wasn't an SE team before.
There was not an SE team. No.
Okay. Maybe we can just step back for a second and define what customer success is and what do you do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. So our customer success team makes sure that our clients are using the LMS and getting the most value out of it. So a lot of it is, training them on the system, making sure that we're designing that they're using the features to the best of their ability. If there are any kind of red flags that they might be churning, we have to kind of get involved and make sure we understand why. So really the superheroes of SaaS, I think, to kind of keep our clients engaged and happy and sticky, I guess, staying with the company, suggesting upsells to our account managers. So yeah, that's what client success does.
So the way I see customer success is different in different companies. Some of it is just a pure sales role. And it was more technical in your
yeah, it was more technical, and actually our CS team very much do not want to be associated with sales in any way. Like we're a trusted advisor. Okay. We can suggest different features, we can suggest different workflows, but we actually kind of stay out of sales. And we kind of transfer that over to an account manager who then will talk the money.
Okay.
The client success does not do that at Absorb.
Okay, so it's more of like, hey, let's meet and see what you guys have and what we can do, and then if there's anything that you need to buy, I'll just tell the scary person.
Yeah, and then they'll do the heavy sales pitch. Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel like if you do that right, does it need a heavy sales pitch?
No, it doesn't, and that's kind of what we found to be most successful. If you're like the trusted advisor, like you're selling through being a consultant, it's an easier sale.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does, you mentioned sticky? We use the term a lot when it comes to like, hey, let's make our solution sticky, as in
Yeah.
automate it so that the competitors can't come and just rip out the stuff and put it.
Correct.
Is
Yeah.
that similar? Like, what do you mean?
Exactly what we mean by sticky is like they can't live without us. They're very much integrated at the LMS into their own technical ecosystem.
Okay.
So maybe there's lots of integrations, lots of upsells, and they really see the value of our LMS, and it would be too hard to leave us. Is kind of how we define sticky.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So it seems like, is it a very technical? Like, are you in there actually doing the integration, or are you just helping them from afar? How does the work of a customer success person take place?
So it's kind of become less technical since I was in customer success. When I was in there and I was actually doing onboarding, I was more of a project manager, so I'd make sure the integrations, like I didn't do the integrations, but I would make sure I'd be the interface. So I'd talk to the developers and the clients and kind of make sure that the vision of the client actually became what they wanted, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But I needed to know a lot about how the integrations worked. So I wasn't very technical at all when I started this journey. But through doing those jobs and talking to different developers and different technical people, I'm able to talk the talk now, I guess, to a
Okay.
point
And
where I'm now a sales engineer.
that makes sense. And one of the bigger problems that I see is the handoff between, pre-sales and customer success. But you didn't have pre-sales back then when you were a customer success engineer. Is that the right term?
We're called solutions engineers. Yeah.
Yep. Well, the customer success, is that it?
Customer success, we're customer success managers.
Managers. Okay.
Or implementation managers. We actually divided the role. So before, a CSM would do everything, and then we thought that was too much.
Yep.
So now there are two specific roles, like an onboarding role,
Okay.
who would onboard the client, and then a CSM who then owns the relationship after they've onboarded. So the continuous journey of the client.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did the handoff, when you were a customer success manager, how did the handoff happen between sales and customer success? Was it successful? Yeah, no pun intended.
It was always a little bit hairy. So a lot of the time we would do a kickoff call. So we'd make sure the account executive was on there. And then we would have a set of questions that we'd ask the client and kind of get enough information from them in order to properly implement them. I would do my own research. So I would like go through Salesforce, look at all the notes. And then, yeah, when there were notes, sometimes I go through, like, so we would track all their emails and I would like read through all the emails to get any kind of idea of what they wanted. But then I would always like ask the questions as just to say, I know you've told X about, what you want from the system, but in order for me to understand, I'm going to ask you the same questions in order to create a plan for you and to make sure you're training, and I train you in the way that you need about the system. So that's how I'd get around it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would the customer be okay? Like, you're basically doing a discovery all over again. Needs analysis.
Correct. Yeah.
And
sometimes it went down well, sometimes it didn't. But sometimes when I would ask more detailed questions than this in the sales cycle. Yeah. So
did you ever get the feedback from the customers, like, I wish that question was asked to me by?
Yes, all the time. And they're like, we're getting better. Well, we're still kind of having those pain points now. A lot of the time clients don't know what questions to ask when they're implementing an LMS.
Yeah.
We've actually got a new role under pre-sales, which is specifically for implementations.
Okay.
And her goal is to make sure to make that handoff better from pre-sales to implementations. And it's just to make sure that our clients are set up for success, like a successful implementation, making sure they understand, what decisions they need to make before they start implementing an LMS. So we do actually have a specific role for that.
That's interesting, because I just did a video, and one of the issues that a lot of SEs have is when they have to do scoping, but they're not implementations engineers. Something is going to be missed. And if we tell the customer that that's the scope of work, that's all we need to do, we give it to professional services come in and say, well, it's missing this and that, and you didn't pay for those, so we can't implement that. It's interesting that you have that. What is that role called in your organization?
It's a strategic implementation project manager.
Oh, nice. I like that. Okay.
Under pre-sales. Yeah. So they are reporting to me now, and we're trying it out, and I think it will be good.
No, it sounds like a great idea from where I'm sitting because of that issue. I always thought maybe someone from implementations would come into the journey early and do that, but it's easier to control your own team than to ask some.
And that's kind of what we did prior to this role. So we would ask someone from the implementations team to sit in some of our sales calls, but they just don't have the capacity to do it. And they're also not sales minded. So sometimes they would be a bit too honest, which is definitely like a fine line that you have to do in sales, right? Like we talk about the system and, you know, the pros and cons of it, and that we get real as sales engineers, but we still have to follow the lead of the account executive. Like we can't mess up the sale. So we kind of start high level and then add detail as we go along. And sometimes if you're from CS, you're a little bit too, I don't want to say honest, because we should always be honest.
Yeah. Well, too pragmatic.
Yes.
I find, and that's a problem that I had where, as in, like I was a network design engineer. I used to design networks, and I'd have to show up on site, and I would hear something that the account manager would say, and I understand the thought process. I understand the concept that they're saying, and it's correct, but there's a lot of details that are involved. And then I go ahead and explain those details, and you just see the faces just go white because like, oh, we're gonna have to do all that. Like, it's not as bad as it sounds. It's just, this is what we need to do. It's like, oh, okay. I thought it was horrible. I thought we were it's gonna take forever. But yeah, no, I got that.
That is the biggest thing. I think what I'm coaching my team on now is, you know your audience, know who you're talking to, and understand when detail is required and when detail is not required. So that's kind of a nuanced thing.
Yeah, no, 100%. So now I was going to ask, how does the handoff happen today? But you just explained that to me. Right. Okay.
Yeah, but we're still working on a better process. And that's why we have designed this new role. So she's going to be the pioneer for it, so that it's actually like more of a handoff to better set them up for success. Yeah.
So would there be a handoff from the solutions engineer to that individual who then hands it off to the customer success person, manager?
Yeah, basically. So I mean, this person was a solutions engineer who is now going to be specializing in implementations. So she will know when to get the information from a solutions engineer in order to tie it up in a little bow and hand it off to implementations.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's her main role.
Okay. And these are all questions still based on the introduction that you provided. So yeah. Why did you call them solutions engineer?
We very similar to why customer success manager, we didn't want anything to do with sales with that role. It was similar with sales engineers. We wanted to take out the sales part of it, and be more of we always sell through a consultant lens. The money part is the account executive's role. We are more like we're solutions, where we provide the solutions. I'm also uncomfortable with the word engineer as well, as we are in Canada. It is
illegal.
It's kind of illegal. So I would like to change maybe to solutions consultant or something else, or pre-sale tech. But yeah,
I like consultant.
I like consultant.
You didn't ask me my opinion, but I like consultant.
I like consultant too, but other people have opinions on consultant. So right now we're solutions engineers. Will that still be the same thing in a year? I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds good. And so Calgary is not very much known for being a tech hub, but when we were talking last time, you mentioned, I don't know if it's you or Calgary that's trying to make Calgary a tech hub.
Calgary is trying to make themselves a tech hub. Okay. And we're trying to diversify. So we're known to be like an oil and gas hub, right? And we need to diversify, and one of those things is tech. And the federal government has actually just given us some investment. I think it's like $6 million to kind of revitalize our downtown to be more of a tech hub.
Okay.
That it's not. I'm not just making it up.
No, I was wondering if you have that effect on people of making Calgary a tech hub. So how would, I'm just curious, how would some city become a tech hub all of a sudden? Just I'm trying to understand that. I don't know if you can explain it to me.
Well, I don't know if I can fully understand. So we do have a lot of like little startups, like tech startups in Calgary. Like Absorb was one of them. Another one is Benevity, that was a unicorn tech company. And we're trying to get headquarters, like any tech headquarters. Like we're trying to entice Amazon over to Calgary. And that, so I know there's a big drive to basically get big tech headquarters prior to COVID, because I think the issue that's now is like our Calgary downtown has kind of really suffered from COVID. Like a lot of people are just like not working down there. So this is kind of like we want to kind of revitalize our downtown. All of the oil and gas companies are moving out of downtown to like the suburbs. So I know it's all kind of part of that to revitalize the city as well.
And how has that affected you and the company as a whole?
Um, it has affected me positively because prior to COVID, we had we didn't have a downtown. It was a little bit out downtown office. We are now downtown, but people do not like to come in as much. So we're a remote first company now, and that's all because of COVID. And that's been amazing for me being a mother, so that I can actually see my children during the day and like do pickups and stuff like that. Like it's given me a lot of flexibility. But they are trying to entice us to come to their very flashy office downtown, but parking and so on and so forth is a little bit difficult. Um, but yeah, they would like that kind of hybrid. But most of my team now are not all in Calgary. Like half of them are in Calgary, and the rest are global. I
Okay.
have some in Ireland, some in Australia, some in Toronto, some in the States. So yeah, that's a big change in the past couple of years. Is like our team has diversified globally.
Okay. And well, I guess that segues into my next question. How are you recruiting people all over the world? Like, do you know people in New Zealand or Tokyo that you can just call in? How does the process change from
Been real
Canada to?
fun and definitely a learning curve. So for our Irish office, that was purely based on people knowing people. So my old manager, who was from Ireland, recruited two people from his previous role, which was in the hospitality industry. So they all were managers of hotels. And these two solutions engineers now are one of our best, two of our best solutions engineers, and they literally just came from hospitality. They're very good problem solvers. They're very good client facing. And so it's really just giving a chance for people who want to change industries. They were kind of sick and tired of like the grunt work of working in hospitality, and they kind of wanted to sit down, job desk, a job at a desk. So that's kind of how we got someone in that region. In Australia, that was really difficult because we were like focusing on Sydney, but it was they were very expensive. There was a lot of tech companies who wanted people in Sydney because of they're trying to get that 24/7 support. So we actually just started looking at different regions of Australia. So then we've just hired two solutions engineers in Brisbane. One of them straight out of university, very little, well, has no experience in SaaS or sales, but she has a great personality, has some customer service experience, and she could provide a very good kind of like demo of an app that she used. And then the other solutions engineer comes from like a content provider, so he has experience.
Okay. And when you're talking about, how did you find them?
So we have a fantastic talent acquisition team at Absorb, which has really grown because we've actually grown phenomenally in the past 2 years from 150 to 400 employees globally. So they post in all the different websites on LinkedIn. I have a talent acquisition person that I work with that literally goes and searches LinkedIn for anyone who has like some of the experience that I want, and then they'll reach out to them like, have you thought about this role before? Yeah, so we kind of have different ways of doing it.
I'm on mute. Yeah. my wife turned on the washing machine right next to my ear.
Oh, that's so funny.
Do you hear it? Anybody hears it? No?
No,
Okay, cool. That's the downside of working in a basement.
I am right by my laundry as well. Yeah.
So it sounds like you're hiring a lot of not inexperienced, but like brand new people into the role.
Yeah, they've never been a solutions engineer. They most probably didn't even know what a solutions engineer was prior to applying, which I like. So they just kind of read the description and they realize that, you know, they're interested in getting into sales, but they might not want to carry a quota or be that kind of account executive person, but they're interested in technology and presenting and solving problems. And I think that skill set, you can get that from other industries and other jobs, and that's what I've really found. Just give someone a chance and they can apply their skills to this role, and I learn from them and they learn from me, and it's a beautiful journey.
Well, I love that you're doing that, mainly because most of the managers that I talk to are looking for SEs between 5 to 30 years of experience in things that didn't exist, and like 20 years of customer facing experience, 40 years of talking and stuff like that. Why did you make the decision to go that route?
To be completely honest, it is the pay. We're on the lower side of competitive in Canada. I have to get creative in who I can employ.
Well, that's fair. So I know a lot of people trying to break into sales engineering, and you're basically providing a university for them to like a real life university where you actually go in and demo a product to a customer, not just a training. But which I guess that's my question. If you're bringing in brand new SEs, how are you setting them up for success within your organization? What training do you provide?
Yeah, and we've actually really kind of got better at that. So before it was very much I threw them into the wolves, the wool A's being the wolves, and they just had to kind of figure it out. And I was there to kind of provide knowledge on the system or make sure they didn't have any barriers to getting the information they needed. Now we have a big enough team and we're scaling that team. We've thought more thoughtfully about it. So we've actually developed like a competency framework and different levels of solutions engineering. So we just rolled that out like a couple of weeks ago. And so usually when you come on to Absorb, you are aiming to be a level 1. And I have like a checklist basically of things like experiences, things that they need to learn in order to then go up to the next level. And I would say like level 1, you'd be about a year in it. Then the second year would be level 2, and then the third year, level 3. And so a lot of it is just like learning the product, learning our integrations, developing your sales and your demo skills, and then kind of branching out to become like a mentor on the team, to represent solution engineers across the company or outside of the company. That's kind of like lots of different things. If they can kind of show that they've done it, then I will check it off and say, yeah, you're competent in that, and then you can move on to the next level, and it will have a pay increase with each level they do.
So what are some of the challenges? I know initially you said like, hey, throw them to the wolves and the AEs. I like that. And then they'll figure it out. So I guess that was one challenge which you're trying to overcome with the training.
Yeah.
What are some of the other challenges of hiring inexperienced SEs? What is there any common mistakes or common issues that they run into early on?
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of it is their reputation, and well, they have to earn the reputation of being able to be on sales demos. Account executives are an interesting bunch of people, and they are the ones that are in charge of getting the signatures, and they are the ones that hold the quotas. They don't want an inexperienced solutions engineer on their call making mistakes. So we do kind of start them off in like lower value opportunities or a small market, and as they gain experience and a reputation, then our more seasoned account executives in the enterprise space will allow them on their calls. Because basically if an SE messes up once, AEs don't want them on their calls. And that's been a real big challenge.
Which I find interesting because I find AEs mess up quite a bit.
Oh, they do all the time.
They're fine to be on their own call.
Are like, how is this person? Yeah, I know, but yeah,
double standard.
It is a double standard. It's very frustrating.
I refuse. And so you bring them in, they have their challenges, obviously. You're training them, they're moving up. How do you keep them as part of the company if it's
Yeah.
a challenge to pay?
I think I control the things I can control, which is trying to be a good manager, making sure that any barriers that come up in their day-to-day work that I can kind of eliminate that. I make sure that I can coach them on building that relationship with the account executive. I've been with the company for 11 years, so I know a lot of people. So if they're like, I need to find information about XYZ, I can usually help them get there. And then I also try and deliver feedback so they can continuously improve. So we've just implemented Gong like a year ago. So we record all our demos now. And I can't even believe that we even ran our company without it. So I'm able to like look at their calls, provide feedback, and that's kind of why I do like to hire new people to the industry or new to solutions engineers, because there's just so excited to have this role and learn and develop. And that's what I can control. I can control that when they're on my team and during the time that they're a solution engineer at Absorb, that I know that they're going to develop and they're going to be better off when they leave the team, and they're going to be better for the next opportunity. Now we hope to keep them at Absorb. So, there might not be solutions engineers for life. I do believe that because of our role at Absorb, we know a lot about the product, a lot about how things work, that we can actually go to different teams after solution engineer, so product ownership or implementations or whatever. And I always discuss that with the individual, like what is your life plan? And I try and help them. So I can control that area of it. I can't always control the pay. I do try to, and the incentive part of it, but I can make sure that they are continuously learning and developing in the role. Did I just go on for about 10 minutes? Yes, I did. Sorry.
No, you did not. No, this was all great. I think it was more like 30 seconds, but it sometimes feels longer when you were
About
talking.
long. Yeah, sorry.
No, I'm supposed to be the humble one today, and you're making me sound like you're showing me up, basically. Yeah. So, but this is fun. What was I gonna ask? I was gonna ask something about. Oh, did you ever measure like the ratio of who want to go into the dark side and who want to stay on the light? Like who wants to go into sales?
Now, when you say sales, you might become account executive.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Originally, a lot of people wanted to become an account executive on my team. But the people who made the transition to the dark side actually haven't thrived in that job, because it is quite different, and they underestimate the skills needed to be a very successful account executive. So now they're a little bit shy to make that jump. And they're technical. They love the technical part of it. They want to get into the weeds. And that's kind of why I also kind of encourage them maybe to become to go into product. They become a product manager or a product owner. Right. Or go into client success after having a spin as a sales engineer.
Yeah, I find so you have a pooled model of SEs, assuming.
No, not we used to. So I don't know if that's answering your question. So we used to kind of pool an SEs and an AE would work with whether, but now we've actually flipped a little bit and we have assigned relationships.
Okay.
So with our enterprise AEs, they will work, 2 of them will work to 1 SE. Okay. And our small market can do about 4 to 1 ratio. We found that was just better, because otherwise you just didn't know, you had to kind of get used to each other's styles, and there was a lot of friction that was happening, a lot of favoritism. So we kind of went to more of this kind of partnership.
I 100% agree with you. I like being partnered than pooled. The reason I was asking though is I find it's easier to transition as SE to the dark side if they're in relationships with account managers, because they see.
Yeah.
In pooled models, they're just being brought in for like one thing and then they're out.
Very true. And SEs think that because they know the product really well, they can sell it. And I have to say that is not accurate at all.
Why do you say that? I agree, but why do you say that?
Because like people want a story, right? Like they want to know what the value is of the product. And sometimes we just kind of focus on what it does. And we kind of forget about the value of, and I'm like saying this feature will solve this problem. And good account executives can really do that. They might not even need to even go into any technical details, and they can sell a product. They can sell the dream.
Yeah.
And solution engineers, a good solution engineer can do that as well.
Yes.
But these
I was
little
gonna say,
ones just
yeah.
get really excited to get technical.
Yeah, I had that problem when I first started. How many users do you want? Yeah,
Yeah.
we all asked that question.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Cathryn, it is time to move on to the not so fire round. These are the same
Okay.
4 questions I ask pretty much
Yeah.
every guest, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about them.
Sure.
I know you've listened to some of it, but you don't remember any of the
No, I
questions.
don't.
So that's good for me. What do you love about sales engineering?
It's a good question. I love the two worlds. I'm able to get very like technical, in deep, loving a product, know it inside and out. But I also get to talk to clients and be a personality, and yeah, it's like it's very hard to get that personality that can be both technical and client facing. And I just love when they get married like that perfectly.
I agree. I like that. All right. Question number 2. By the way, this is the not so fire round, so we can take our time. We're not in a hurry. You can have 30-second answers. It's no problem. What would you consider is your superpower?
I'm incredibly positive, to the point of people say that I'm a toxic positive person. So if there's a challenge, I'm always like, let's just try and solve it. We can keep going, and we can. Yeah, I want to solve that problem and keep going, and I try not to get too down on it, and I try and bring everyone up with me. So that is my superpower.
I think
my positivity.
They say that about Tom Cruise as well.
There you go. He can do. If he knows he can do it, he will do it. He will jump off that cliff.
Well, have you seen him on? There's the Graham Norton show, which is UK based. I don't know. I'm not trying to assume, but okay.
No, I have seen it. Yeah.
And he was on there with Emily Blunt, talking about the Edge of Tomorrow, and everybody was angry. They were sweating and all that, and they look at him. It's like, yep, it's a challenge, and that was his response. So, toxic positivity. I think that's a positive thing.
Yeah,
I like that. This is the one that you remember. So the third question: is there a book or resource other than my own? Sorry, had to throw in that curveball. That you would recommend for people who want to look at sales engineering?
Yeah, so this makes me sweat because I feel like I should read more, and I don't. But I have read some books. I have picked up, and I can't remember what it's called. It's like the Guide to Sales Engineering or something like that. The Sales Engineer's Handbook. I do own
Engineer Manager Handbook.
Yeah, that's it. And I've read a couple of chapters. Would I recommend it? I don't know yet because I haven't finished it. But for managers, I enjoy like there's a book called Radical Candor and Leaders Eat Last. These 2 books I have read. I have enjoyed them. For resources, I really love LinkedIn. I like to stalk people who have the same role as me, other companies, and kind of work out how they use their sales engineers. I love Pre-Sales Collective. I like their Slack channel. I think it's really awesome. And that is how I think, I don't know if I found you through Pre-Sales Collective or what, or just during my Googling. The fact that there is a podcast about sales engineering is amazing, and I love it. So
glad to hear
that. Resource as well.
Thank you. Last question of the not so fire round, Cathryn. Is there a habit you're working on today to improve in your personal or professional life?
Yes, I'm trying to. Self-care is a habit that I am trying to improve both personally and professionally. I think also being a mother, I'm trying to carve out some time to work out, eat right, and take some breaks from my basement and go for walks during the day, because working remotely is all fun and games until you realize you haven't left your house in a few days. So self-care and making sure I see the sunlight.
How old are your kids? If you said, okay, I know how old they are. Are they in activities?
They're in preschool.
Okay. Once they get into activities, you'll be out all the time, and
I kind of thought that, yeah, because right now they don't always want to go for walks with me, and I have to like drag them with me. So yeah.
Yeah, no, Our kids play jiu-jitsu and soccer.
That's so fun. I
Yeah,
love activities. Yeah, I can't wait for that.
yeah. The jiu-jitsu studio that we go to is very small. There's no space for parents to sit, so we
Right.
have to stand outside in the sun or the snow.
Ugh, yeah,
That's
Canada.
all right.
Yeah.
So if people want to stalk you, Cathryn, in a most gentle, non-creepy way, where can they do that?
Oh, stalk me?
Yeah.
Oh, that scares me. I mean, I'm on
You
LinkedIn.
used that word first, so
Yeah.
if
I mean,
people want to reach out and connect with you, Cathryn, where
I
can
am
they?
on LinkedIn as Cathryn Prudence. And I don't know how many Cathryn Prudences there are, but I work for Absorb, and I'm more than happy of people to reach out. I am extending my network in this community, starting to get my head out of just the Absorb world, and I'd love to know how other managers or leaders kind of run their solutions engineering or sales engineering departments. So yeah, happy to brainstorm. I don't know everything, I'm figuring it out, but it's a fun journey I'm on. So
That's a good journey. All right, Cathryn, was there a question you were hoping I was going to ask you, which I did not?
no, I think you asked me all the questions. Thank you.
Asked them all. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm out of questions. Awesome.
Oh,
Thank you so
great.
much for
Okay,
your
good.
time, Cathryn. I really
Thank
enjoyed
you
it.
for your time.
Yep, and hope to talk to you soon.
For sure.
Thank you, Cathryn, for coming on. I really enjoyed this conversation. As I mentioned in the intro, at the end of the call, we were talking about, and she was out humbling me, which I don't know if that's a good quality or a bad quality, trying to be too humble. But, as a host, I try to put the emphasis, the limelight on the guests, and she was trying to. She wasn't taking it very well. She was trying to put it on me. I don't know if you felt like that's how we felt during the conversation. And in the end, we kind of came to the conclusion that even though a lot of people show their confidence by speaking loud, by just putting themselves out there, sometimes humility is the biggest form of confidence, and I really enjoyed that in her, watching her do that. So thank you, Cathryn. Thank you for being a leader, just not by name, but how you interacted with me. So I really appreciate that. Guys, if you enjoyed this show and you want to reach out to Cathryn, make sure to do so. And I'll leave it there. With that, I'm signing off.